Welcome back to Anime Death Spiral, the only anime podcast that does its homework. I am, of course, talking about my renewed... Hold on a second. Okay. I am, of course, talking about my renewed interest in the captivating, riveting
Anime.
field.
Oh,
well, I was going to say, yes, anime, but only tangentially. Anime is really only like secondhand to the central issue here, which is that, I don't know if you knew this or not, but track and field is cool again. Did you know that?
I think Usain Bolt would have something to say about that.
Hey,
the coolest man alive.
you know, I'm glad you went with Usain Bolt and not like Oscar Pistorius.
You mean the Blade Runner?
Yeah. You're not allowed to call him that anymore.
I don't know if my mind jumps to Blade Runner when I think track and field, but I'm glad you got him in. Thank you for bringing him into the party.
Yeah, you know, he was fresh in my mind.
Sure. Track and field. That's great. Remember when the French guy's dick hit the pole in the last Olympics?
That was
Everybody
really funny.
loved that? That was good.
It was pretty funny, you know, like...
It was pretty funny. Yeah, no, it's funny.
Hey, remember,
it's a shame he lost, but...
Remember the breakdancer from Australia that everybody laughed at? We had a real good time there.
I found that tragic, actually. That was tough.
It did feel a little mean-spirited, a little bit like a dog pile, you know? That is to say, like, she was kind of bad at dancing, though.
She was not good. Obviously, she was not good. I mean, I understand people getting, as the cursed Germans say, the Schadenfreude, right?
Yes.
Of watching this woman embarrass herself on the world stage, which is half the enjoyment of the Olympics, sort of like going to NASCAR and waiting till you see a crash before leaving.
Well, I think the bigger
that
issue,
one was tough.
The bigger issue with that is not that her dancing was bad. That's not what we should be focusing on. We should be focusing on the fact that this was the best dancer that Australia could send to the Olympics.
Well, I believe the story was that the actual participants were either injured or otherwise sidelined, and she went at the last second, which makes it all the more tragic.
Yeah, no. A bit of a I never asked for this kind of thing. Or even worse than that, you know, imagine getting a Hail Mary placement in the Olympics when you're on the sidelines and then, you know, you just have everybody fucking jump on you and bullying you after that. That's got to be tough, right?
It's pretty tough.
That was not a pretty sight, you know, but then again, it did raise questions on why, like, breakdancing was at the Olympics to begin with. I'm not against it. I think breakdancing is cool.
I like breakdancing.
Breakdancing is awesome.
I didn't watch that breakdancing anime. I didn't get around to that one.
Everyone said it was really bad. Everyone said it was really bad last season.
I watched some clips of the dance numbers, and there were points where it would go from traditional animation into the 3D stuff, and the transition was so jarring and so off-putting, it completely annihilated any interest I had in watching it, unfortunately.
Yeah, it was rough.
Man, that sucked. It sucked real bad. Guys, don't do that. Please don't. That. In the future, don't do that. Like, either do one or the other, but the mixing of the two really just annihilated any sense of aesthetics.
Well, okay, so it becomes all the more painful, and I think that, you know, this is a good transition into what I wanted to talk about here, is, you know, the animation for the dancing. It becomes more painful when you see, like, someone else do it so much better. And in this case, it's not dancing, but specifically, you know, we both watched 100 Meters, the new Netflix anime produced movie that's taken the world by storm. It made track and field
actually,
cool again.
I did not get around to watching it. So
You didn't watch
this
it?
one's on you. I didn't watch it. I had some other things to do.
Well, then that puts the score in my favor, sir.
Yes. I am glad you watched it, though. I mean, if it balances out, because I did watch all of Orb on the movements of the Earth. So we're 1 for 1 there.
Okay. All right. Okay. Well, okay. Then I did my mandated homework assignment. If I recall, you said that we had to watch this movie to make up for me forcing Uma Musume, Dawn of a New Generation on you.
Yeah.
And so I went into this good faith. I did my homework. I watched this movie, and man, the running animation in this film is as good as the dance, like 3D animation in that anime was bad.
Yeah.
This movie is mind-blowingly beautiful. Like every frame.
Yeah, I was insanely impressed by what I did watch. I need to watch the whole thing, but the reason I wanted to watch it was because I think, first of all, the subject matter is very interesting for an anime movie. It's obviously a little more reserved than horse racing idols. But
we'll get to that.
Yeah, but I think the intense focus on character work in an anime is often pretty neglected. I think this is really cool. And it's running off the juice of Orb, because Orb was against all odds, like, very successful. And I think that author is very smart and very, very good at doing something that we've talked about a lot, which is the weird, like, hyper focus special interest smushed up together with like an anime character piece. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think Orb on the Movements of the Earth is actually the masterwork version of this exact kind of like aesthetic style that's been like really dominating anime and manga for a while. And so I thought 100 meters, I mean, this is, if anybody is going to do one of these like running things, these sports anime, but like for adults, take it seriously. Not do a Prince of Tennis or whatever.
Sure.
It would be this author. I think he goes by Uoto.
Yes.
Uoto. Yes. I am in awe of their ability to write stories like this. I think he's really great.
Well, I mean, this is really good, obviously. Like you said, a big focus of this story is on like character close-up. And specifically, we're looking at two characters, Tagoshi and Komiya, who are like childhood friends who both have a vested interest in running. Togashi is kind of like, he represents the natural talent, like, kind of situation. He's, personable. People like him. He's popular in his class. And everyone around him seems to recognize that he has this natural ability to run. He is just fast as hell, and he's really good at it. And his story specifically is kind of the central focus. It's really, both of these characters are the main character because it's a dual narrative around them. But if I had to say, if the film is giving more focus to one than the other, it's Togashi is kind of our like central pin narrative. Everything kind of flows in and around his point of view for the most part.
Right.
And his story is like, we get it told in these 10-year jumps. So we have him in elementary school, and he's just like, he runs because that is just it makes him happy to run. He likes to go fast. He's a little Sonic dude. He just got to go fast, right? And
of course.
And him recognizing that like the adults in his life like kind of view him as like not so much as a kid who likes to run, but more of like an appreciable asset, you know? It's like him kind of internalizing this narrative that everyone is forcing on him, that he is a fast runner and that he is going to break all the records. He's going to be the fastest man in Japan. And
the Usain Bolt.
Yes, the Usain Bolt of
Who
Japan.
He is the 100-meter record holder. Just saying. I didn't pull that name out of nothing.
Oddly enough, not a single name drop in this movie.
That's crazy to me.
Not mentioned at all.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And so we have like him, and then he meets Komiya, who's a little anxious, like is there a name for that trope where he's got like, you know, no eyebrows and the big heavy black like bags around his eyes? You know, he looks like a ghost. Like he's designed like he's dead, right?
He looks like a ghost, like a cancer patient.
Yeah, kinda. I mean, he has hair. Kind of like Mob, you know? He's kind of like a Mob.
Yeah.
He's just kind of this quiet, reserved, socially anxious guy who doesn't know anything except that he's not anxious when he's running. And that is his motivation to run.
Sure.
You know, I think the specific words that he uses is like, I run because then the world is just a blur and I don't have to like engage with it. Like I'm just in this bubble.
Yeah, it sounds like he needs therapy, but
well, he's doing a Forrest Gump, you know.
He's doing a Forrest Gump.
He's doing a Gump.
Yeah.
And so we get this, and so they're like, you know, Togashi recognizes this, you know, runner instinct in this kid, and so they start like training together, and they do the little kid thing of like, we're both gonna be the, you know, we're gonna go to the Olympics and we're gonna compete there someday, and we're both gonna be the best. And then Komiya, as easily as he transfers back out to somewhere else. And that is the last time they see each other for 10 years, which is when we get our first big jump. And now they're both in high school.
No phone calls.
No phone calls. Which is, okay, I'm getting sidetracked here, but that is something that I have thought about quite often when reading manga and like anime, is there's this trope of like, oh, my friend transferred to a different school in a different part of the country, and now I can never talk to him again. You know?
Who knows what happened to that guy? We don't have Facebook.
Well, and then they go on, and then it's like they shift to a scene of like, oh, let me go on my line group with all of my friends that I only have in my one specific school that I go to. Like, that's the core of it. There seems to be this thread that, like, you're not allowed to be friends with someone from another school, right? Have you noticed that?
Yeah, or even class.
That's even weirder.
Which is bizarre.
Yeah.
It's so bizarre.
I don't know.
I mean, this is like anime 101 though.
I know. It's like I read a lot of rom-com stuff and a lot of high school stuff, and it weirds me out every time because the Japanese education social system, like social hierarchy, seems like fucking hell on earth. It seems like the worst.
It's so insane. But then, like, you know, we didn't have like a homeroom, or at least I never did. I never had that good experience.
Well, that's another thing. I feel completely disconnected from what American media like told me what my high school experience was supposed to be like. You know, but that's like a whole different thing. Anyway, back to these guys. We got our time jump, and now they're in high school, and they're kind of like competing at a national level now. And Togashi is really internalized that he's going to be the best. And he goes to an inter-high competition with, you know, not only is Komiya there, who has kept on running and is now like a really good runner in his own right.
Good for him.
I know. Good for him. But like this is also the pivotal moment where he kind of gets out of his big fish in a small pond like syndrome, right?
Yeah.
He goes to the nationals and he's like, oh shit, everybody else here is like exactly the same as me, but some of them have been doing it longer and training harder than I have. Like
many such cases.
So many cases. And that really, really shakes him to the core, you know, that he ends up, you know, placing nationally, I think second, but definitely within like the top 5. But he loses his deciding race by a quarter of a second or something like that.
Quarter of a second, it'll kill you. Mm-hmm. It'll kill you, man.
And so that happens. And then we get and he sees Komiya and he's like, hey, you know, it's good to see you after so long. And this fucking dude who hasn't seen his friend in 10 years fucking ices him out. Can you believe that?
Wow, that's tough. But why?
Well, I think it's kind of hard to say.
Because he's a loser.
I think that is it. I think that's kind of it. I think it's this. I think what they were going for is Komiya, who is like a weird little socially anxious loner dude, except for when he's running. You know, had this guy that he looked up to, that he essentially idolized, you know, and like that image of his friend that told him to keep on running. Like that's what kept him going. And now, you know, he finally sees him run in like a really important race, and he loses. And that kind of like shatters his image of him a little bit, you know?
Yes.
Real asshole stuff, like total dick move.
Yeah, I mean, it is dick move. And also you'd imagine after 10 years of doing competitive racing, you see this shit happen all the time.
Uh-huh.
Especially if you win in regionals and then go to nationals. I mean, you've seen this happen to lots and lots of people.
Yeah. And then we get our next time jump. It's another 10 years. And now they're not in high school anymore. They've graduated college, and Komiya is a sports star. He is the national track and field champion. He has like sports deals. He's on posters. He's up on marquees. His name is getting talked about on the radio, on TV.
Usain Bolt,
baby.
He's meeting Obama.
and our main dude, Togashi, is like super excited because he just got his contract at his shitty company that he works at renewed for another year.
Yeah.
And so, this is really fucked up. I don't know if this is a thing or if this is like just made up for the film to give it like more stakes. But essentially, the beginning of this time segment, you know, we open on Togashi, and he's just coming out of this interview where his contract has been renewed, and his shitty boss is like, oh, and by the way, you know, we know that you used to be a track and field star, like, and that you haven't run in like a year or whatever, but we need you to run basically at our company's like a fundraiser picnic thing.
With what?
They need him to do an exhibition, basically.
Sure.
I guess it's not, I guess it's more laid out in the manga, I'm assuming, but the company that he works for is like a sportswear company.
All right, so a little higher stakes than like the company softball team.
Exactly. But he's not, you know, he's like in sales or whatever. He's like a middle dude. And so he's like, all right, I guess if that's what you need me to do, I haven't run in like a year because after losing, you know, that big championship, in his words, he kept running for years after that, but the spark was gone until eventually he just burned out and stopped.
Many
which
such
is
cases.
yeah, many such cases. And so he starts training again. He reconnects with like the people from his old high school track and field club. You know, he starts getting back into it. He starts getting motivated. And then many such cases, he's got a pain in his leg and he goes to the doctor, and the doctor says, you can't run in this big exhibition match or else your leg is going to explode or some shit.
You've got leg cancer. You've got the worst case of leg cancer I've ever seen. It's about to come off.
Well, he says you need 6 months of rehabilitation, basically, before you can even think about like doing light training again.
Wow.
Yeah. And here's the fucked up part that I wanted to talk about. This doesn't seem legal to me, but I do not know Japanese work law. His boss tells him after he finds out about this, leg injury, his boss tells him, by the way, your contract is reliant on whether or not you can run in this exhibition match. And if you can't, we're going to fire your ass.
Wow. Well, maybe he lives in at-will employment district.
Well, I mean, I think it's an at-will nation. So that was like, that seems really fucked up, but
it's very cruel of an employer.
Yeah. And so here's the worst part is that, well, I'll get to it. I'm skipping ahead. So he resolves to do this exhibition match, and he goes to like a specialist doctor who does something, but basically says like, your leg's not going to explode, but you really shouldn't run in this
Gives
match.
him the Agnes Tachyon drug.
Yeah, exactly. That's kind of what happened. It's like we get this scene of him lying down in the doctor's office and he's got electrodes attached to his leg. And then the next scene is him talking to one of his track and field teammates, basically, and saying, "Yep, I'm all ready for the exhibition next week. I'm good to go now." From that point on, they completely ignored the leg injury thing. Like, that's just not mentioned again.
It's fixed.
Well, it never really comes up. It doesn't get a chance to come up because you could probably guess, at this big exhibition where they're trying to promote their company's running gear, the Komiya, his longtime friend / rival, is there as well, and they get to have one final race off. This is it. The premise of the film is basically both of them resolve that track and field is actually kind of a scam, and they both regret wasting so much time and energy on it.
Oh man, burned out.
Yeah. They basically say like, the reason we run is because that's all we want to do. We just want to go forward as fast as possible. But after a certain point, that's not feasible. And if you focus your entire life on just that, then, your entire life is being compressed into 100 meters. Name drop.
Yeah.
Cut to black.
100 meters, baby.
And then the film cuts to black before they even have their race.
Dope. So what's their times? What times are we working with?
Let's see here. They only shout out finish time once clearly in the movie, and I think Togashi at that point, his time was I don't know, 8 point something.
8 point something.
I'd have to go back and watch the scene. I don't know. What's fast? What's fast for a 100-meter dash?
Well, Usain Bolt did 200 meters in less than 20 seconds. So 100 meters in less than 9 seconds is I'm looking at
a
world record.
I'm looking at the scene. His record is 9.6.
Okay, that's yes. So not as fast as Usain Bolt.
Well, actually, so Usain Bolt's 100-meter dash record, I'm looking at it right now, is 9.58.
9.58.
Yeah. So he's only 0.02 slower.
Jesus
That's pretty
Christ.
good. That's pretty good.
A couple milliseconds slower than Usain Bolt. Yeah, that is pretty good.
But that is the point that they're trying to make in the movie, is that even though that is like amazing, that is almost bordering on superhuman, the fact that, you know, you lose by fractions of a millisecond, you know, that 0.02% that he would have lost Usain Bolt by, that is that is the same thing as an infinity amount of distance after a while.
Yeah. It's a binary. You either win or you lose.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been playing a lot of racing games, and sometimes when I'm racing against a friend or whatever, and they have a really good time, I mean, I have literally lost car races by 0.001 seconds. So, yeah, I mean, this is a truly agonizing style of losing. I completely understand.
So, you know, I really liked it. Oh, that's the other thing that I really wanted to touch on about this movie, is that the animation is freaking amazing. They do this combination of hand-drawn rotoscoping and mask layering for the head and face to do the expressions and talking animations. And they're kind of these two different animation styles working in sync.
Yeah.
But it looks so cool. It looks so good. You know, it's got this kind of like they're doing rotoscoping, but they're doing it in like a lower frame rate, like just a very slightly lower frame rate, so it's kind of choppy and got kind of like almost a flip book quality to it. Really, really, really cool stuff.
Yeah.
I really like this. This is a good movie. Highly recommend. I know we're a few months behind on this, but really go watch it.
The animation is, I mean, it is truly, truly great. This is the kind of stuff that, as we've said before, you can just do anything in animation. You can draw anything.
Yeah.
And like when we were talking about the Uma Musume movie, you know, I was talking a lot about the world record, right? The Animatrix short, where they depict running. That's by the short by Takeshi Koike, who also did Redline, which is also a racing movie, wherein racing is portrayed almost metaphorically, like in World Record, where moving itself is sort of this interpretive action portrayed unlike anything that you would see in any other medium. It's something that only animation could do, and specifically like 2D animation. And I think that's what makes stuff like this actually worth making and watching.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think 100 meters, I've seen enough of it to know, like, this is not the kind of thing we have made movies about running. This is not a novel concept, but you cannot make a movie about running that looks like this movie.
Really, really, really good stuff.
Yeah, it's really fucking cool. And I like running and racing as animation topics because, like we talked about, in other contexts, but like specifically when we talk about how much we love like trigger stuff, I've said a million times, but movement is the pinnacle of animation.
Really? You don't say. Yeah, it's almost like stuff that's animated should be animated, you know.
Well, it should be animated, but also the body in motion. And because, we are a truly narcissistic race, humans, we want to see ourselves, and seeing the human body in motion beautifully portrayed, frame by frame, by somebody who is truly dedicated to their craft, is the most interesting and beautiful thing you can see in 2D animation, in my opinion.
Yes.
And so things like dancing, which is why we were so disappointed by that anime, or running, or like all these sports animes, the ones that are really good, that portray the body in motion, is really that is as good as it gets. Whenever you see a fucking incredible fight scene, you know, in a shonen or whatever, the best ones are always about the way the body moves, right?
Yes.
That's why a lot of the most disappointing parts of Dragon Ball are when the fighting is not actually portrayed. It just becomes like the blur stuff, or characters standing around.
I mean, that is kind of the big thing around like One Punch Man, right? First season.
Yeah.
Absolutely stacked team of animators who are masters of their craft, like you said, doing what they do, which is portraying interesting looking motion on screen. Like they spent so much time and effort making the punches, you know, the thing the show is named after, look and feel
incredible,
so heavy and incredible and cool.
Yeah.
And then, you know, you get seasons 2 and 3, and like you said, it turns into a regular anime where they cut corners and you know, they do what they can with less than what they started out with, and people get get pissed.
People get pissed. But I want to say, you know, it is absolutely not a coincidence that anime mechs, for example, are all bipedal humans, right?
Right.
The reason that Evangelion works, for example, is because when the mechs are moving around, they are moving like people.
Well, I think Evangelion kind of takes that concept a little further, because
I know
the mechs are people in that one.
Yes, thematically, yes, it also has resonance there. But again, like in Gundam, right? The reason Gundam is fun to watch, the best Gundam, is because the Gundams move like people.
Yes.
Well, in the West, we have tanks, right? Mm-hmm. Even our mech, like Mech Warrior, right? They're like they don't really do people movement. They're less compelling to watch.
It's a trope at this point, the making fun of bipedal robots as something that is fantastical and impractical. And it's like, yeah, sure, I don't care, because a humanoid robot that's giant and doing like sword fighting and gun tricks, you know, up in the air with rocket packs, looks cooler than a tank like running around on treads on the ground for the most part.
Yeah.
It looks cooler. I don't know what they want. It looks cooler.
Yeah, I just wanted to stress that.
Yeah.
You know, and when when we talk about silhouettes and stuff, that is also directly represented here, where the movement of the body is like, it is a special thing in animation. And that's why these sports anime, even when they don't have particularly compelling characters or stories, which is a lot of them, it's still fun to see the human body do extraordinary things if they're animated in a loving way.
Yeah, 100 meters. Go fucking watch it, because it fucking rules. It's awesome.
Yeah, good shit. I hate to give it up to Netflix, but like they did some good work getting this thing over here.
Yeah, I mean,
and in front of people.
As much as I hate to admit it, Netflix's anime game has some pretty big hits in there. Like I can't lie. You know, we can thank Netflix and CD Projekt Red for giving Trigger, you know, the outlet for one of the best anime that I've seen in like a decade at this point. I'm still hung up on Edge Runners. It's so good.
It's so good. It's really, really great.
Now, before we move on from 100 meters, I do have a couple criticisms. Well, let's not call them criticisms. I'm going to say, if I was making this movie...
Now he wants to hate.
If I was making this movie, these are just some things that I would change to kind of, you know, make it a little bit more broad appealing, a little bit more, give it a little bit more oomph. Now,
yeah. When Poochie is not in the scene, all the characters should be asking, "Where's Poochie?"
Exactly. Now, first of all, I think that we should make the focus. We've already got this running thread in the film of this is an alternate reality of the world where track and field have become very culturally important, not just in Japan, but in the world. They literally say multiple times that track and field has had a surge in popularity in the last few years across the globe, which is why everybody cares about running, apparently. So, to incorporate that, I think that we should have the story set at maybe some kind of specialist school where all the students are there for track and running. And we can kind of make it like a competitive thing amongst the students, not just these two guys. It's they're not just trying to beat each other's records. They have to beat records to stay in the school. That adds stakes.
Okay.
That adds gravitas.
All right.
Next thing, I think that having two male protagonists is a little cliche, a little overdone. Shonen is huge umbrella genre. We don't need more focusing on just two guys competing each other. So I suggest that why don't we have it be two girls competing at this track and field school. I think that would be more. I think that would be more compelling.
Okay.
Kind of a court. Maybe it could be like a Yuri thing. Yeah, that's popular these days. Kind of court that crowd. Have it a little bit of some tension there. All right. Third thing that I would change. I think that track and field is a little bit blasé. It doesn't have a real air of dignity about it, kind of like that old world panache. Nobody's standing around drinking champagne, smoking cigars on the side of a track and field meet, right? That's not something.
Really.
No.
Doesn't. No.
I want to add in something that kind of evokes this older money kind of dignity and respect that goes along with it, something fancy. So why don't we change it from track and field to horse racing? Jockeys, horses, all that. I think that's really big. I think that would be a really big change in a positive way.
Well, I gotta say, you might end up competing with some pretty big names if you go that route. I mean, it seems like you're trying to ice skate uphill, man.
No, I totally get what you're saying, which is why at this point, all you can do is go all in and try and beat them at their own game. And it is Year of the Horse, need I remind you. So it's just lucky if we say, instead of just doing straight horse racing, we can make it a combination, and we can make the girls, instead of jockeys, we can just make them the horses. We can make them horse girls, and then they compete in track and field events against each other.
Well, I have to say, it's hard to argue against you, except for all the things you said I hate and suck. So I got to give it up. You really nailed it, except for all the things that are really bad and awful.
Okay.
Can I tell you about some premieres? We talked a lot about this old thing. Now there's some new things.
Yes, as long as they're Uma Musume related.
Well, we could talk about girls trapped in awful situations if that's what you're interested in, because that's how I interpret Uma Musume, frankly. I did watch a new premiere, which is one of the things we were talking about last time.
Wait, are you trying to tell me that
new anime is coming out?
It's new anime 2026 in winter 2026 anime?
It has happened. Winter 2026 has happened, and the anime is flowing freely. And in fact, there are weekly anime again.
Oh,
so we got week to week anime to go over, and the first one that came out for me is again a Netflix show, which is unfortunate, but it happens. I watched Shiboyugi, playing death games to put food on the table. Yes, of course I went and watched the death game. Of course you went and watched
the death game one first.
Yes,
we all saw it coming.
I had to watch this one.
All right, yeah, no, we just talked about this last week. This was one of the ones where I was very skeptical based on the name. You were excited based off of the premise. So what did you think?
Well, excited, kind of, it's really...
you were excited because it was a death game.
Well, I like death games, obviously, and it was something that I've read a little bit, so I wasn't like... I'm not losing my mind over it because, frankly, I knew what I was getting into, or so I thought.
Oh.
What's really interesting here is that the studio and the director have taken a very strong stance on the source material, which is something I very much respect.
Okay.
This is Studio Dean, who, frankly, have not done anything I found particularly great recently. They did Yakuza Fiancé a little while ago. I think that was, well, I guess 2 years ago now. It was a while back.
Yeah.
Going further than that, I think the last thing I actually was into was they did one of the Hell Girl seasons.
Okay.
Which I like. I like Hell Girl. But they've been doing a lot of slop. They've been doing a lot of villainous and isekai stuff like all these other studios.
Hey, gotta put money on the table.
Yeah, their other big shows last year were like Ninja versus Gokudo, a couple of Pretty Cure things, that kind of thing, which is a shame because this is a studio that in the past has done like pretty important shit. I'm talking about like Ranma 1/2, the original Rurouni Kenshin.
Oh, so they have a resume.
Yeah, You're Under Arrest. Remember that one?
Yeah, I remember You're Under Arrest.
Yeah. They did the original run of Fruits Basket.
What? Okay, so these guys used to be like a big name.
Yeah, they did pretty heavy hitters, and connected here to a little bit later. They also did the original Fate Stay Night run, which is interesting. So more misses these days, but this is a really standout one from what I've seen. Handed over to the director Ueno Sota, whose last thing that I watched was Fairy Gone. Did you ever check Fairy Gone out? It's they tried pretty hard, but I found it incredibly stupid. It was like alternate World War II where special agents were assigned like fairy tale creatures as partners.
Ooh.
Or not even partners, more like stands that they could call up and like use as weapons.
I don't like that.
Yeah.
I don't like it when anime gets into World War II, like alternate history stuff. It feels so messy.
Yeah, I did not end up liking it very much. I feel like, man, they could have gone in a lot of different ways. It felt pretty ham-fisted, but yeah, he also directed some of like Cells at Work and stuff like that recently.
Okay.
So did some other stuff that appeared on Netflix.
Well, Cells at Work was a pretty, notable success. I think people liked that one.
Yeah, it's all right, I guess. I didn't personally find too much to like latch onto, but I found it completely inoffensive,
Sure.
This one, I would say, is it does not play it as safe as any of this other stuff. What's really interesting here is that aesthetically and tonally, it has just gone off the fucking deep end. This is in the style of a truly almost like art student, like film school aesthetic to it.
Okay.
Lots of collage work. They do a really bizarre thing that I've been really trying to figure out, where there is what I have interpreted. I think this is what it is. They have a count up, but it's not a time frame. It is the number of scenes left in the episode.
Oh.
This is like a major aesthetic choice. They've hung a lot of stuff around. So as the scenes progress, it shows you like 1 out of 23, 2 out of 23, 3 out of 23. I don't know particularly why. Generally, when you have a count up or a countdown, it's to increase tension, right? To like say we're leading somewhere and something is going to happen. And because this is a death game and each episode is a self-contained death game, we know that when this reaches 23 out of 23, our characters are all going to be escaped or dead. So that's the tension we're working with here.
I see.
Why they chose to really, really like upstage this particular aesthetic element, I'm really struggling to figure out.
I mean, I've always been in favor of studios taking weird aesthetic decisions with their stuff, say what you want about the show itself. That was one of the things that I really, really liked about Bocchi the Rock is they do a lot of similar things to what you're describing, a lot of collage work, a lot of mixed media, a lot of like alternate animation style stuff. In addition to playing, homage to a lot of what I would call like very traditional, like anime in industry, like in jokes at this point. They do a lot. They do a lot of Dragon Ball Z references in Bocchi the Rock, more than you would assume. Which I thought was pretty cool.
I mean, it's fun. It's fun to do.
Yeah,
they
drift
Dragon Ball.
into like hand-drawn stuff, claymation stuff a lot. So I like stuff like that. And so if this anime is doing that, I think that's a really cool thing.
The best elements of like Foolish Angel dances with the devil, like the only good parts of that show. It is not doing that. It is in fact kind of running away from that. It is trying to do things that are not in other anime, which is good. In fact, the only anime it seems to really be cribbing from, besides some earlier stuff, more experimental stuff. I'm not saying it's completely inventing its own language, but it actually does have a lot in common with The Summer Hikaru Died.
Oh, okay, sure.
It is playing with its style in a similar way. It's not exactly one-to-one, but it is using collage. It is using a little bit of live action stuff. It's using like color flipping, and like I said, this weird scene countdown thing. It is very quiet in a lot of places in a way that most death games are not. It is very sparse to reflect basically our character's emotional disconnect, who, she is going through a sort of depersonalization in order to cope with the fact that she is playing death games as her main job. They also really, there is obviously death games, or most people try to lean away from them or don't go in for them because they tend to have a very bad reputation around being edgelord shit, a very exploitative genre.
Well, no smoke without fire.
It happens. It's kind of built into the expectation of the genre. I get it. Look, I get it. Especially in this one where it's like, oh, cute girl's dying. Yeah, that is about as exploitative as you could possibly get.
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking like 1970s horror grindhouse shit,
I don't like it when cute things die, whether they're a girl or otherwise.
So it is making a very particular point to lean away from that. They have an in-universe conceit as to why there is no gore, for example. When girls get hurt, their stuffing comes out, like their plushies.
Oh, I don't like that at all. That feels worse even.
It is very interesting. It is an interesting choice. It is an unsettling thing, which I think is really great. It's actually a really interesting choice there, because at the same time that they're leaning away from like the kind of edgelord gore shit, they're also introducing a truly bizarre visual element, which is hard to take literally, even when the characters specifically point out that it is a thing that's happening. The main problem here, and I think overall I did really like it. I think the main problem here is something that's not necessarily its fault. It's something that lots of death games or death game adjacent shows and series butt up against, is that essentially, and this one in particular, because the cast is very specifically all girls and is pointed out that they're chosen as all girls because that's what the viewers want, the in-universe viewers, but also like wink wink the viewers want. It is trying to underline that there is a gender disparity, there is a gender exploitation angle to all of this stuff.
Yeah.
It's very aware of it and it is trying to comment on it, but at the same time it is very much like a have your cake and eat it too thing, because it is doing the thing.
And we've talked about that so much, on this show already. Like, if you're gonna comment on the thing, really just don't do the thing. Like, you can't have both. You can't make it work. Something is going to get lost in the end.
They don't thread the needle.
They don't thread the needle,
unfortunately. And I don't really think that's a huge problem. Like I said, I think just at the very least being aware of it and like putting it in the viewer's mind is like a step up from almost all other versions of this thing. But it's still a stumbling block that, is hard to ignore.
Sure.
Everything else about this I find fascinating. The choices made here are very intentionally running away from every other death game in recent memory. I think that's really smart. I think the character work is really well done. They avoid something that I think happens in the manga because of a flattening of the character work. Bringing voice actors into it really helps to deepen a character who is usually this monotone, silver-haired, like heterochromia girl, right?
Yeah.
They do a good job of giving her depth without spoiling the typical heterochromia, silver hair, monotone girl. And that they do thread that needle, which I am very impressed with. I think that's very cool. This thing is bleak without being edgelordy, which is, again, they thread that needle, which is pretty crazy. It is reserved in a way without being artistically conservative. I think this one is like, this is good. I think this is a good one.
Oh no!
Really? I've only watched one episode because, like I said, this is coming out weekly. But I think this is one of the actual good ones of this season. I think this is going on the success pile.
Okay, so I should be paying attention to this one, is what you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think this is going to be like you're going to have to watch this one type deal.
Shoot, I was not anticipating that, but I'll give it a shot. This is good. Yeah, I'm so desperate for good anime.
I mean, I only watched 2, and the other one was Fate, which I like Fate, and this is like the Fate that I like, which is like Fate Zero, which is just absolute like blithering nonsense, which is fine with me. I prefer it to some of the other like very intensely blithering nonsense. This one's more grounded. But it's Fate.
It's Fate.
It's stupid Fate. It's ridiculous, stupid Fate. It's set in America, and all the characters keep going, wow, it's weird that this Holy Grail war is in America this time, which I think is very funny. That's a great element. That one of the participants is the police chief of the Southern Californian town called Snowville or whatever the fuck, Snowfield or something, is very funny.
We named it that as a joke.
One of the characters is eating In-N-Out in the first episode. Is very funny.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah, I appreciate these little details. But Fate is ultimately, it's just ridiculous nonsense.
It's nonsense.
It's just ridiculous nonsense, which I like. If you are going to make a very stupid thing like Fate, it should absolutely be as ridiculous nonsense as possible. Yeah, I would not put on that one on the success pile, even though I think it was perfectly fine. And I'll probably watch more of it. Not a failure, but not a success.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll round it out here. I'll keep this short because I talked a little bit about this one last week as well. But I watched the premiere for You and I Are Polar Opposites.
Yes, of course.
Premiere based off a manga I read. And it's fine. It's more or less just like the first couple chapters of the manga that it's, adapting. it does kind of do its own thing in terms of composition. At least in the first episode, it spends a lot more time just like I'm using this term loosely, but physically having the camera on like not just the two main characters, but like other class members, other people in the school. It's not afraid.
Stuff.
Yeah.
It shows stuff.
It shows stuff like,
Okay.
hey, you know what? If you're going to show anything, you might as well show stuff, right? It's better than showing nothing. So I thought that was cool. But it does raise the question that I've had for a long time, in that when people complain about like how bad One Punch Man looks now, and we tell them to like, hey, you shouldn't have your expectations so high. Season 1 was kind of lightning in a bottle. Like, I understand why they're mad when I see stuff like this, because so much animation budget seems to go on over animating like anime where nothing happens. Because this looks amazing. Like really, really beautiful, fluid, detailed animation with these amazing, like cool, like Makoto Shinkai style painted backgrounds. At least in the first episode. Yes. And it was the exact same thing. It was the exact same thing with Sonobisky Doll and like a dozen other rom-coms from the last 5 or 6 years that I've seen. So much animation effort put into these things, and then really popular shonen stuff like One Punch Man just absolutely getting sidelined. It's baffling to me.
Huh.
Like, that's my big takeaway is I was watching this episode and like, I don't want to make it sound like this isn't worth reading or watching. I liked it. I liked this story. You know, it follows like the one big rule that we have for rom-com stuff, and that is like that they're actually dating and that they like each other, you know?
Yeah.
The premise is first chapter, first episode, they start going out, you know, and the show is about, you know, their relationship, which I like generally. That is the way you should do it.
I like some of these. Shikimori is not just a cutie. It was one of the ones I really liked because it was just about the two people's relationships and the cute things that happen when you care about another person.
Mm-hmm. It actually like pisses me off a little bit when something like Fragrant Flower gets so many accolades and you know, praise, and they haven't even started freaking dating in the story yet. I mean, they have in the manga, but that's like at least another season down the line, you know?
Yeah.
They're just doing this stupid dance of like, yeah, we're basically dating, but too afraid to say it to each other.
Well, you know, the everybody knows in the romance, the pop the question moment is the juice. Everybody loves that part.
I guess, but that's what I'm saying. We're in the paradigm shift right now. That part is blasé, so we do it at the beginning and we make it about actually like dating, being in the relationship, not the courtship. Courtship is messy and boring at this point. The juice is two people being happy together, because that's what you're never going to have, reader. You're never going to have that, so may as well put it up front.
I like in Myrunovich where we actually had that moment, and then we have the moment where they break up, and then we have the moment where she has a regrettable rebound, and then we have the moment again where they get together. That is the good juice.
Oh man, you know what else? You know what else does that exact same thing?
Yeah.
And I think you read this because you told me to read it. How Do We Relationship? They do that.
Yeah.
That exact same art. That's some juice right there.
That one gets dark though.
Yeah.
That's some real lesbian depression shit. That was tough.
So anyway, you and I are polar opposites. I say go check it out. I'm not gonna say like this is one of the good ones, but it's definitely not one of the bad ones. So that's got to count for something, right?
I guess so. It does. I mean, I'm very surprised by the animation thing, because it is, again, another one where we see, a romance genre is obviously very flourishing right now, and we're getting a lot of like lush romance animation, which is fine. I think that's great, but it's also not a genre that typically calls for a massive amount of like lush animation.
No, it doesn't, which is why it's so confusing every time when I see these like beautifully over animated romance anime and then, subpar shonen stuff. It doesn't make sense to me.
It's very strange. Again, I honestly think it is different audiences demanding different levels of quality from their product. I think the romance people will go hard for their favorites, but they will not tolerate declining quality, whereas a lot of shonen people just will.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, they'll call a show that is objectively bad, right? And with objectively bad animation, peak because, I don't know, because the character like does a Dragon Ball Z move at some point. That is pure settling. And I think these romance fans who know what they want and are willing to fucking put their money where their mouth is if these fucking numbers are anything to go by, demand a fucking product,
It's so counterintuitive to me because it feels like there's a glut, of shonen options. There's no drought of like shonen anime for the fans to pick from, right? So it feels like that's where the money would naturally go towards. Like, hey, there's so many shonen fans, there's so many shonen anime. That's where people want to spend their time and their attention and their money. But apparently it's the romance anime fans that are the picky ones.
Well, you get your Jujutsu Kaisen, which just goes off every once in a while. You get your One Pieces, which absolutely fucking goes off once in a while.
Usually in a movie.
Recently, we've got the Demon Slayer movies, which go off. You got your Chainsaw Man movie, goes off. And then everything else is just kind of like, it's padding. It's like, when they put the shredded lettuce at the bottom of the lemon chicken, It's just like, well, and then there's also this. And I don't know why people are willing to watch shit like Solo Leveling, which just sucks constantly, is really terrible, and call it like the best. But for some reason, they do. I don't know. Explain that to me. I really fucking don't know.
I have no idea. I cannot explain Solo Leveling away, but apparently people are just... Solo Leveling is the distillation of what people like about the mindless power fantasy, like shonen arc, right? You
don't have to tell me, man.
I know. It's just, it's a Skinner box. Put on an episode of Solo Leveling and you get that dopamine hit of shonen.
Here's what I'll say. Just on the end of that, like, if I was one of these Mappa guys doing Jujutsu Kaisen and I worked my fucking ass off to like fix the fucking Sukuna fight or whatever for the DVD release, and then I looked over and saw what these other assholes are churning out, this like bullshit that people are like coming out on Twitter and being like, yeah, it was great, I would fucking kill myself.
Well, that may be a little dark, but
hey, man, look, it's bad. It's fucking bad.
It's bad.
It's bad.
All right. Do we want to end it there?
Yeah. Shit's bad, man.
Okay, dear, handsome, tall, beautiful listener. Thank you for sticking with us again. Go do the stuff on social, YouTube, Blue Sky, Instagram, TikTok. We're all there. We hang out. Come shoot us a text sometime. We're down to
text
hang out.
us.
I'm so desperate. All right.
Hey, text me, man.
Okay, until next week, go watch 100 meters. If you do anything, go watch that. I'm talking to you. I'm talking to you specifically, Remy. Go watch 100 meters.
Oh, I probably actually will.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Bye. Pop one of these lozenges in.